Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 satisfying deaths of hated video game characters. For this list, we'll be looking at suitable, fulfilling ends to game characters we couldn't stand. For obvious reasons, we're issuing a spoiler warning. Which of these demises satisfied you the most? Let us know in the comments. Number 20. Raymond Schizo Sarkozy, Days Gone.
God damn it, just wait! Why don't you tell him? Tell him how you sold us out to them.
In a world ravaged by freakers, you need all the friends you can get. Which is why we hated our so-called ally Schizo so much.
Sorry, it was the only way.
Schizo worked security at Iron Mike's camp, so you'd expect him to have everyone's best interests at heart. But his disdain for Deacon throughout the story was almost palpable, despite us rebuilding goodwill by working to make the camp safer. He ended up betraying Deacon twice, with the second instance getting Iron Mike killed. Needless to say, vengeance was sweet. After catching up with him, Deacon uses Schizo's own knife to finish the job. And he's right, freakers won't enjoy this nearly as much. Number 19. Lionel Starkweather, Manhunt.
It's just that I thought it would be nice to have a surprise reunion. But these war dogs didn't see it my way, and they've taken matters into their own hands.
Lionel Starkweather, aka the director, is a wealthy producer of snuff films, which should already draw a lot of hate. But as a death row inmate, you're forced to go along with his plans at the promise of freedom. Throughout the game, the director sends violent gangs after you so you can entertain his customers. Stupidly, he also tries to have you and your family killed in his movie's climax.
You blew it, and now she pays the price.
He ends up regretting those actions as, towards the end, you track him down and murder him with his own goon's chainsaw. Hearing him try to make deals and plead for his life was gratifying, but there was nothing that was going to save him.
I'm your only way of making any of this good cash. Think about it.
Number 18. Imlerith, The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt.
The sisters said you would come. They saw you arrive in the water's surface.
Evil elves from a parallel dimension are just the types of villains we love to go up against in fantasy games. But General Imlerith brings out a special type of hate. By order of his king, he leads the Wild Hunt in pursuit of Ciri, Geralt's adoptive daughter, believing her powers can save his home. During the Battle of Kaer Morhen, Imlerith snaps Vesemir's neck as the old Witcher attempts to defend Ciri. We wanted to enact vengeance for both Geralt's and our sake, and we were thankfully given the chance to do so. After facing off against the intimidating foe, Geralt melted his face before bringing Imlerith's own mace down on his head. Number 17. The Prophet of Truth, Halo 3.
Why was it not destroyed with the rest of their fleet?
It fled as we set fire to their planet.
From the beginning of Halo, we strive to put an end to the Covenant, a conglomerate of alien races attempting genocide against humanity. Its methods were bad enough, though it was also led by this absolute tool. A sadistic manipulator, the so-called Prophet of Truth was vile and clever enough to hold sway over the group. While his actions were broadly evil for the galaxy, they were much more personal to the Arbiter.
No, you will not.
The elite warrior was branded with a mark of shame and forced by Truth to go on suicide missions. He'd get justice in Halo 3, however. After being infected by the parasitic flood, the Prophet was run through by the Arbiter's blade.
You must be silenced.
Number 16. Scott Shelby, Heavy Rain. This 2010 narrative thriller concerns a child murderer who goes by the name the Origami Killer. As you find out, Scott Shelby, one of the 4 playable characters, was the killer all along. He used his status as a private investigator to hide evidence and carry out further crimes. As a child, he helplessly watched his twin brother drown while their father was too drunk to save him.
Don't forget about this guy.
And so he kills kids the same way as a desperate psychological search for a father who would sacrifice themselves to save their child. How and if he dies depends on the player's choices, but we were just satisfied to put an end to him. Number 15. Frank Fontaine, BioShock.
I had you built! I sent you topside! I called you back, showed you what you was capable of!
In the underwater city of Rapture, no one can be trusted. Even your one ally is a no-good con man. With their plane crashing near its entrance, the player has no choice but to descend into the war-torn dystopia. Leading the charge against Rapture's tyrannical ruler is Atlas, who aids you throughout the game. But this isn't a simple tale of good versus evil, and Atlas is really Frank Fontaine, a criminal mastermind fighting for control over the city.
Now if you don't call that family, I don't know what is!
He actually forces you to help him through psychological conditioning. By the end, he's transformed himself into a hulking monstrosity. We were delighted to see him overwhelmed and brought down to size by the Little Sisters. Number 14. William Carver, The Walking Dead Season 2.
And how is it that we're repaid for our trust? With treachery? With deceit? With theft?
Plenty of movies, games, and novels have taught us that if the zombie outbreak were to happen, the undead wouldn't be the only thing to fear. William Carver was the leader of a group of survivors that turned a hardware store into a safe haven. However, his methods for keeping order were often violent and disturbing.
Bill! That's enough, Bill! Please!
He killed some and maimed others, including Kenny, who Carver beat so savagely he lost an eye. As the survivors planned to escape towards the end, Carver was shot several times. If you choose to stay, Clementine would see Kenny get vengeance for himself and others by taking a crowbar to Carver's face. Should have seen that coming.
Don't act like you didn't love every second.
Number 13. Dr. Angus Bumby, Alice, Madness Returns.
I live in a training ground for prostitutes. My mentor is an abuser and purveyor.
After the events of the first game, Alice became a patient of psychiatrist Dr. Angus Bumby. Bumby liked to use hypnosis on his child patients to make them forget traumatic memories. Or so we were led to believe. In actuality, his methods left them as empty shells so that he could sell them into prostitution for his wealthy clientele.
I provide a service. In the great and awful metropolis, appetites of all sorts must be gratified.
My family, my mind.
That's already utterly atrocious. But you would also find out that he sexually assaulted Alice's sister and murdered her family in a fire Alice thought herself responsible for. Bumby assumed his high status would protect him once Alice learns the truth. He was probably right, so we were extremely grateful when she pushed him in front of a moving train. Number 12. Thaddeus Campbell, Dishonored.
Oh, I agree. A whore dies and suddenly this. Will you have wine? It's a Tivian red.
There are several wrongdoers that lead to you being labeled a traitor in Dishonored, but it's Thaddeus Campbell whose end is the most fitting. At a certain point, you can go after Thaddeus and choose how you deal with him. Personally, we like poisoning him with the very drink he planned to use on someone else. However, the most delectable end to Campbell actually comes if you don't kill him.
I owe you an apology.
You can choose to brand him across the face as a heretic, which leads to him being excommunicated. He'll then contract the rat plague, which brings about a very slow, incredibly painful death. Canonically, this is what happens to him as his end is mentioned in Dishonored 2.
And then die of plague, you useless incompetent! I never liked you! What?
Campbell?
Number 11. Rafe Adler, Uncharted 4.
I don't know how you scammed your way in here, but if you think about bidding on Avery's Cross, I can tell you exactly how you're going to be leaving in a goddamn fight.
While each villain in the Uncharted series brings their own brand of despicable, this unproven rich kid takes the cake. He clearly isn't smart enough to compete with the wits of the Drake brothers, so he hires mercenary group Shoreline to make up for it. In fact, he usually uses his wealth as a crutch throughout the game, and he's constantly shown to be uncaring towards his allies, no matter who they are at the time.
Thing about mercenaries, Nadine, their loyalty, it's bought. It's not earned.
So, seeing his desire be the death of him was a fitting end for the character. After refusing to abandon the fight while in a burning pirate ship, Rafe is crushed by the very treasure he sought. Delicious.
It's all yours.
Number 10. Sephiroth, Final Fantasy VII. You'd be hard-pressed to find a video game villain of the 90s more hated than Sephiroth. Sure, he's got a lot of style, but he also went insane, murdered a town full of people, and gave Cloud a detrimental case of PTSD. That's all before the events of the game, too. In the game, he plans to hit the planet with a magic meteor so that he can absorb its life force and become a god. What really made us hate him was the murder of Aerith, one of the most kind-hearted RPG characters of all time. After a lengthy battle that saw Sephiroth mutate into an imposing monster, your final spell disintegrated him. Number 9. Uberto Alberti, Assassin's Creed 2.
Of course not. Ever innocent. How convenient. At least now we see how far your reach extends, which is to say, nowhere at all.
Although he's far from the central antagonist in the game, Uberto Alberti became one of the franchise's most hated characters in just a few scenes. Once a friend and advisor to nobleman Giovanni Auditore, Uberto betrayed his friend for the Templar on the promises of his own family's well-being. And just before he hangs Giovanni along with his 2 sons, he acts as the ally and ensures protagonist Ezio that everything will be okay.
You and your collaborators are hereby sentenced to death.
But his two-facedness is soon rewarded in blood. After teaming up with the assassins, Ezio gets to take a hidden blade to Uberto's chest multiple times. Sweet, sweet vengeance.
You would have done the same. To save the ones you love.
Yes, I would. And I have.
Number 8. The Calypso Twins, Borderlands 3.
Ow, Troy! Look what they left for us!
Thanks for doing all the hard work. Man, you vault thieves only think with your trigger fingers, huh?
Keep this up and I'll be a god for real.
Perhaps the Calypso twins are meant to be a statement about the dangers of over-the-top content creators who easily sway the emotions of cultist-like followers. That doesn't really matter though, as they're completely obnoxious centers of attention we couldn't wait to take down. In their quest for the Great Vault, the Calypso twins steal Lilith's powers, kill Maya, and cause general calamity, all while using every opportunity to increase their clout.
But hey, if that siren thing ever works out for you...
While the nature of Troy's death isn't remarkable, it's still satisfying to put him down. Big Bad Tyreen, however, merges with the Destroyer to become a monster. And unloading your arsenal into her, seeing her turn to ash, and Lilith regain her powers is as satisfying an end as we could ask for. Number 7. General Shepard. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Good. That's one less loose end.
The sting of betrayal rears its ugly head again. But unlike Uberto, General Shepard took a lot longer to reveal his evil ways. As the leader of Task Force 141, Shepard seemed like someone we could trust. And with everything else going on with Russian terrorist Vladimir Makarov, this twist caught us completely off guard. After a dangerous mission to Makarov's safe house, Shepard murders Ghost and Roach in cold blood. Naturally, this makes him enemy number 1. During the game's climax and a particularly bloody standoff, Price and Soap catch up to Shepard. And in one valiant act, Soap pulls Shepard's knife from his chest and throws it into the General's eye. Number 6. Salazar, Resident Evil 4.
I've been expecting you, my brethren.
No thanks, bro.
Capcom's Resident Evil series is filled with loathsome characters, though this Napoleonic nobleman definitely stepped on our patience. Even before Leon Kennedy's arrival in Spain, Salazar committed more than a few acts to earn some hatred. Under the orders of Los Illuminados cult leader Osmond Sadler, Salazar hired villagers to excavate ruins housing Las Plagas parasites, who then became infected.
Surely you don't think I'm the same as those diminutive ganados. The parasites, las plagas, are slaves to my will.
He also helped kidnap the president's daughter to help infect the rest of the world. That's all pretty evil, but his tendency to taunt Leon and set traps, including a giant statue of himself, just added fuel to the fire. When he became a monster, and we subsequently got to dispose of him, it was pure bliss. Number 5. Zeus, God of War 3.
Your obsession with this thing has become somewhat of a nuisance, my son. Release the girl, Zeus!
Despite what Disney might have you believe, Zeus is one bad dude, and Sony Santa Monica's trilogy definitely showcased his worst aspects. Although an ally in the first game, Zeus gave in to his darkest fears and paranoia by killing his son Kratos. Too bad for him, Kratos' persistence for vengeance knows no equal.
Everything you have ever known, Kratos, will now suffer because of your sacrilege. You will never be the ruler of Olympus.
And after escaping from the underworld twice and defeating a horde of Greek gods, he was finally given the chance to quench his bloodlust. The final fight is as epic as it gets, and impaling Zeus with the same sword he used on Kratos is supremely poetic. The POV finale is the extra juicy cherry on top. Number 4. Officer Tenpenny, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
I'll take that, Hernandez.
Hey, that's my paper, man. That's money.
This is drug money.
It's almost a requirement for most GTA characters to be hated, but Officer Tenpenny is on a whole other level. This corrupt cop is constantly forcing Los Santos residents into terrible situations. This is especially true of protagonist CJ, who has evidence planted on him linking to an officer's murder and is forced to kill witnesses to Tenpenny's crooked dealings. That's not to mention how he fuels gang-on-gang violence and drug use in the community.
Welcome home, Carl. Glad to be back. You haven't forgotten about us, have you, boy?
So when it came time to chase him down, the anticipation was almost too much to handle. During a climactic riot, Tenpenny drives off an overpass. Seeing him die slowly as he calls out to the other officers is just the pitiful end this character deserves.
I took the trash out. I did. And I do it all again.
Number 3. Irene Engel. Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus.
Only the degenerate rats of the slum admire you. The filthy dregs, festering in the ghetto. But once they see you, this will change.
She may have played second fiddle to Deathshed in the first game, but Irene Engel proved herself to be the bigger horror in the follow-up. This Nazi lieutenant general comes at BJ's band of rebels with everything she has. In just one scene, she decapitates one ally, maims another, and viciously berates her overweight daughter for being a disgrace to her race. At every opportunity, she takes maniacal glee in the pain she puts you through, which is both deplorable yet engaging.
Zwing mich nicht, zwischen dir und meiner Überzeugung zu wählen.
And if she didn't, her end wouldn't be so satisfying. After thinking she's won, BJ and co. surprise her on live TV with a hatchet to the face. Her violent and public demise make BJ's message to the world all the more chilling.
We show those that sow the wind that we are the whirlwind.
Number 2. David, The Last of Us.
Name's David. This here's my friend James. We're from a larger group. Women, children. We're all very, very hungry.
Ah, David. We so badly wanted to trust your kindly stranger demeanor. Despite most people in this clicker-filled world being rotten, Nolan North's soft-spoken delivery and the fact that you face a challenging horde together made us think David could be an ally. Unfortunately for poor Ellie, that wasn't the case.
Relax. Keeping you alive here. There you go.
With an army of cannibals behind him, it wasn't long before David had Ellie in his clutches. But he had something a bit more special for Ellie in mind than turning her into food. A cannibal with a fetish for young children is a pretty vile combination. So it was with great delight that we watched Ellie escape only to drive David's own machete into his face over and over again.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Micah Bell, Red Dead Redemption 2.
We just got plenty of time, Micah. We all need to have a little chat.
Black Lung, you're back. Hooray!
On our original top 10, Edgar Ross from the first Red Dead claimed the top spot. But after consideration, we decided Micah Bell's to be the far more satisfying demise. As a fellow member of the Vanderland gang, we spent more time with Micah than Ross. And so we saw him do some pretty heinous things, like shoot up an entire town just to get his prized revolvers back. If that wasn't bad enough, it's also revealed he's an informant for a detective agency.
Seems old Micah was pretty close with Milton.
What the hell are you talking about, cowpoke?
You talked.
That's a goddamn lie.
Unfortunately, he gets away, and protagonist Arthur is the one to die. However, just like the first game, the epilogue shows his fate. Dutch and John track him down and pump him full of lead.
You shot me.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.